Hello everyone, welcome to Kids Auto and Truck Repair. We have a 2017 Mercedes GLS 450 with a 3.0 liter engine. We did some tests a little while ago on this vehicle. We initially fixed it. When the vehicle came to us, the check engine light was on. We checked the cam sensors and the crank sensors. The crank sensor was bad. We changed the crank sensor, and then the customer brought the vehicle back to us because the check engine light came back on. We did some tests. Then we determined that the timing was off. We suspect that the phaser on the intake camshaft on bank 1 is off. So we're gonna have to change that. Now, it's been a little while since we did those tests. I wanted to get all the parts first before I could take this engine apart, before we could tear this engine down. I got all the parts from the I was gonna say BMW, but no, Mercedes. I was gonna say BMW because I was working on the BMW yesterday. I still have the BMW name in my mind. Anyways, I got all the parts from the Mercedes dealership. We have the OEM parts, we have the phaser, the chain, the tensioner, everything we need to replace so we can fix this. Now, we are only doing one side. The service info recommends replacing all the phasers. I told the customer that we're gonna recommend replacing all the phasers, but that's not within our customer's budget. We told the customer, I was very clear. I said, if I change only one phaser and then 2 or 3 months down the road, the other phaser starts going bad, don't come back to me asking for warranty. We're gonna have to charge you extra for that. And the customer says, that's fine. I can only afford one phaser right now, and I want you to replace that. Hopefully that's gonna do it. I told the customer, I mean, we can go in there and find another phaser. Actually, after I was doing research on this, I also found that the reluctor wheel on the cam shaft can move. So we don't know what we're gonna find until we take stuff apart and figure out what's inside. So I told the customer, I was very straightforward and very honest with the customer. The customer said, just replace that one and then let's see what happens. So hopefully that's gonna do it, but if not, we might have to change more phasers. I also double checked with my friends at the Mercedes dealership. They told me even themselves, sometimes they just change one. So it's okay to only change one, okay? So we're good there. Now what I'm gonna do is, I would like to show you the code that we have. We showed you the guys this code last time, but I'm gonna show you this code again. Actually, before I show you the code, I would like to give a shout out to our famous cameraman Kyler. Actually, people have been coming to the shop asking for Kyler. Now when people show up, they say, hey Dio, how are you? Where's cameraman Kyler? I'm like, dude, you didn't even say hello to me. You know, I mean, I just love it, you know. When people come here, of course, they want to see us, they want to see the whole team. You know, like actually, Kyler wasn't here yesterday. We had a customer show up yesterday morning and Matt was here. He came here and then Matt was leaving. He was like, was that cameraman Matt? I was like, yeah, that was Matt. And then he's like, where's Robin? I said, Robin is in the shop. So the guy came and said hello to Robin. And then he asked for Kyler. He's like, where's cameraman Kyler? I was like, well, Kyler is not here today. He's working from home. So anyways, it just made me feel so good. You know, I was like, well, you know, all our community members know the whole team. So that's the goal. The goal is to know everybody, and you know, the goal is to bring you better content and do great work. So cameraman Kyler, thanks for being here. So now let me show you guys the code. Kyler will put this code up on the screen. So the same code keeps coming back, P0016-85. It says the position of the intake camshaft cylinder bank 1 is implausible relative to the position of the crankshaft. There is a signal above the permissible limit value. Okay, now this can be caused by a lot of things. A bad sensor, a phaser that's off. We talked about this last time. So now what I'm gonna do is, Kyler, if you can come here under the hood. I don't think I'm going to show you the boring part of me taking all this stuff apart, because right now it's tear down. We're gonna tear this down. So we're only gonna remove the covers on the passenger side because this is bank 1. Bank 1 is the bank on the passenger side. So I'm gonna have to remove the valve cover and the upper cover in front of the cylinder head, so we can get access to the phasers. Okay, so all this stuff is gonna get removed. I'm gonna remove this cover. Let me see if I can remove it right now. So this cover is gonna come off. Okay. Now I don't know what part this one will be. This will probably be part 2 or part 3, because Kyler's got a couple of videos with him that we filmed last time. So I'm gonna remove the air filter box. I might have to move the engine computer out of the way. The valve cover needs to come off. This cover over here needs to come off. I believe the intake manifold also has to come off. So I gotta get all this stuff out of the way, and then I will bring you guys back up once I get access to the cams and the timing chain. I'll bring you guys back up so we can line up our timing marks, and then we're gonna remove the phaser together. So I'm gonna get all this stuff out, and then I'll bring you guys back up. All right, guys, we are making progress. We are almost ready to remove the valve cover, but I removed the front cover so we can get access to the phasers. I turned the engine. There is something I noticed, and I would like to show it to you before we continue. So if Kyler can come over here on this side. Okay, so this phaser over here, this is the intake cam phaser. This is the exhaust cam phaser. This is the one that we're gonna replace, and this is the one that is throwing a code. So I am going to spin the engine because I wanted to spin the engine and time it before I removed the valve cover. But let me show you what I noticed as I'm spinning the engine. So just focus on this phaser over here. I'm gonna spin the engine. I hope it's gonna do it. Now that we turn the camera on, it's probably not gonna do it anymore. Interesting. It's not doing it, but I mean, we might see damage when we remove the valve cover, because what was happening is this phaser was leaking out oil. As you can see, this one over here is dry, but look at this one. So this phaser here is leaking. So let me time it. Let me get my, so there's a mark over here. Okay, we looked at this last time. It's 5 and 3, and then there's another mark over here. Now, before we remove the phasers, we're gonna have to line up 4 and 0 on this mark. But right now, I would like to double check my marks here first. So I'm gonna line up 5 and 3 over here. Okay, right there, we're pretty much dead on. Okay, so right now the engine should be timed. Okay, I'm going to remove the cam sensors. Okay, so right now we should be timed, but the reluctor wheel is pushed this way. Let me spin the engine a little bit more. Maybe we're not timed. Okay, so that's one revolution. We're not timed over here. Yeah, it's off. I mean, we showed this on camera last time, right? Okay, so if you look over here, you might have to step over here. Okay, careful. So this window over here should be close to the sensor bolt over here, to the hole of the sensor bolt. So you see it's pushed this way. It should be back here. All right, so now unfortunately after we turned on, because when I first spun the engine there was a lot of oil leaking out of this phaser. After we turned on the camera, it's not doing it. Okay, now I can already tell that there's a problem here. Okay, I wanted to show you that first before we remove the valve cover, but that's okay. We're gonna take the valve cover off and then I'll bring you guys back up so we can see what we're gonna find. I mean, this is off. Guys, after a couple of hours of taking stuff apart, now we have access to the camshafts. So we removed the valve cover. Here are the camshafts. Now the valve cover holds the camshafts down. Once you remove the valve cover, we have these holders over here that hold the camshafts down. Now, we cannot spin the engine right now. If we do, these holders can pop off and cause the cams to twist and we can damage stuff. So that's why we have these holders over here. These are called camshaft holders. Okay, we have them in our toolkit. So I'm going to remove these little holders over here. I'm going to install this guy. So this is going to go over here to hold our camshafts down. Okay, we're going to use one here and one back here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the one back here first. So we're going to undo this guy. And then this guy over here. We're going to carefully remove this. Can you hear me, Kyler? Sound is good. Okay, so I hope you can see what I'm doing. We got this one out. I'm gonna put it over here. We're gonna remove the second one. Okay, so now we're gonna install our tool. That's gonna go right there. We're gonna install the bolt for it. So let me get a wrench. I'm going to tighten those guys. Actually, let me see, what size are these? 10 or 11? No, 10. Perfect. Nice. So we got the first one installed. Now we're gonna remove these ones. These holders are identical, but I'm just gonna mark them. The ones I'm gonna put the nail polish on will be the ones that came from the back. That way I can just put them back where they came from, where they came out of. I mean, they should be the same, but you never know. So now we're gonna remove these two. So Kyler ordered these tools. Now you see why we needed these. Yeah, so because if you don't, because we're gonna spin the engine to time it, if you don't have these tools to hold the camshafts down, the camshafts might move, and that's not gonna be good. That will be no bueno. All right, so now I'm gonna grab my service info. I'm gonna get my service literature here. I have everything printed out, and then I'm gonna grab a big socket so we can turn the crankshaft. We're gonna get everything lined up, and then we're gonna get the phaser out. So I'm gonna grab what we need, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I got my service literature here. I hope you guys can see what we got printed out here. So this is what we checked last time. This is our mark on the crankshaft pulley. Okay, we have to line up the 5 and 3 on this mark over here. This is it right here. So this is once this is lined up, it means the crankshaft is timed. And then these are the windows on the trigger wheel on the camshaft phaser. Now this is how it should look. Okay, so we're gonna have a narrow window over here, narrow, wide, wide, and then narrow, narrow, wide, wide. Okay, now we have more service info over here. You can pause this to read if you would like to read. This is how the back should look. Okay, I have already read this, so I know what to look for and what to check. Okay, so these are the tools that we have. Okay, these are the camshaft holders that we just used. Okay, and then we have more service info here. This is the tensioner. We're gonna replace the tensioner. Okay, so you can pause this and read this if you would like to read. Okay, more specialty tools right there. All right, so I already went through this. Now we're gonna spin the engine so we can get everything timed. Okay, I'm gonna spin the engine a little bit more. We're not lined up yet. I'm gonna try to get these yellow marks lined up if I can. Let's go one more time. You heard that noise? That's the noise that it makes when you first start it. Clack, 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 that, yeah. It's not supposed to do that. And you heard it came from this. So this, yeah, this phaser is bad. This phaser is bad. You see that? Did you see it? Oh, I hope you saw that on camera. You saw that? It's like, so basically the phaser, this phaser is supposed to be attached to the camshaft. So the chain is attached to the phaser, and then the phaser is attached to the camshaft. So there's a delay when we spin it. You know, there's a big spring in the phaser, so that spring has failed. So it's causing the phaser to, I mean, not spin at the same speed as the camshaft is. Yeah, that's a problem. Big problem. Yeah, look. Oh, I don't know if you saw that. Look. So the phaser just spun, but the camshaft didn't. See if it's gonna do it again. Yeah, see that? Shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, look at that. I don't know if you saw it. It spun, but the camshaft stayed. The camshaft stayed behind. Yeah, look at that. I mean, there's also a way that, I mean, there's probably a possibility that this trigger wheel is also off. And if this trigger wheel over here is off, we're gonna have to change the camshaft. Now, what I'm doing right now, I'm just checking and double checking, you know, to see exactly what happened. I mean, we can clearly see that this phaser is out of time. But the thing is, I'm gonna have to use a specialty tool to make sure that our trigger wheel didn't move, because if the trigger wheel moved, we're gonna have to change the camshaft. Because if we don't change the camshaft, we can replace the phaser and put everything back together. Guess what? If the trigger wheel is not where it's supposed to be, the same code is gonna keep coming. So, hey, you gotta love German engineering. Oh man, this is fun. Yeah. Okay, at least we can see it. Were you able to see it, Kyler? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Awesome. And then Kyler had asked me a question. Actually, I'm gonna explain that on camera, because Kyler asked me a very good question. I don't know, I think it was yesterday. So here's your cam sensor, right? The cam sensor sits on, okay, the cam sensor is mounted on the valve cover, right? So the cam sensor is basically right here in front of this trigger wheel. You see this? So when the phaser and the camshaft is spinning while the engine is running, the cam sensor is gonna pick up this. So remember when we were doing the test with the lab scope, on the lab scope screen, I mean, I don't know, you can put that picture over here, somewhere here, so that our viewers can see. To those who have questions about how these waveforms are generated, so when the trigger wheel is spinning, the big one that you see over here, this, you see this over here? When I say this is the wide window, so this wide window over here is what, this over here is what causes that long gap, the waveform you see on the lab scope. And then if I keep spinning, so picture the sensor being over here, okay? The cam, this is spinning, so that's the long window right there, okay? And then this space is when the signal goes down like this, you know? So signal goes down like this, and then this over here is the small window. Does that make sense? So because you can use these signals and get a known good to compare it to see if the engine is timed. Does that make sense, Kyler? Actually, the question you asked me is a great question, because I remember you asked me this when we were doing the test, right? When we were trying to figure out if this was off. And I told you, just by looking at the cam signals and the crank signals, if we get a known good, we can look at our waveforms and compare them. If the timing is off, we can tell, and that's how you can know. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. All right, so enough talking. Let me see if I can get these marks lined up, and then we're gonna continue. I don't think we're gonna get this lined up because this is probably way off. I don't think it's gonna get lined up, to be honest. Yeah, look at that. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to, yeah, because I was trying to get, you see this yellow mark? This yellow mark is supposed to get lined up with there's a line over here on the phaser. I'll show it to you. That's what I was trying to do. There's a mark on the phaser where the yellow mark should get lined up. Yeah, you see this over here? That's where it's supposed to get lined up. I mean, it's kind of close to it. Yeah, so there's one on this phaser, there's another one on the other phaser. Okay, so right now, based on our mark over here, okay, based on our mark, the crankshaft over here is lined up, okay, and then the cam over here is lined up, okay. So the yellow one should be marked up to this, and then there's another one over here. You see this one, Kyler? Yeah, that should be right there. Okay, and it's not. So this is off. All right, guys, we're getting ready to remove the defective phaser. So now I'm going to time the engine. We're gonna make sure that our timing marks are lined up. So I'm gonna spin the crank. If Kyler can show you guys our mark over here. The mark is 5 and 3, and it's gonna get lined up over here. Right over here. So now I'm gonna spin the engine. Okay. So we're gonna go 1 revolution. Oops. That phaser is loud. 1 revolution here. Okay, so that's 1 revolution of the crank, which means half a revolution of the cam. We're gonna go again. Now, before we get to this one, we're gonna stop where the 4 and 0 is, okay? When we stop there, it's gonna give us a little bit of slack. Can you show the chain over here? You see how the chain is tensioned? If we put our mark over here at 4 and 0, we will have a little bit of slack, okay, on the chain. So I'm gonna make sure that 4 and 0 is lined up, so I gotta move it slightly. Right there. Do we have a little bit of slack there? You see this now? You see how we have slack? So this will make it easy for us to remove the tensioner, okay? So now I'm gonna grab my nail polish. We're gonna mark this. I'm gonna use my white nail polish. Now I know where that is, but if we mark it, it's gonna make it a little bit easy for us to double check. Okay. So we got our white mark right there. Okay, now let's mark the phasers and the cams. All right, so our camshaft should also be timed right now. Now, Kyler, I'm gonna make you move here again. So if you can show this trigger wheel over here, can you see it in there? Yeah. So that is the exhaust camshaft trigger wheel on the driver's side. And then let's show this one over here. Okay. So the position of these trigger wheels tell me that, so the position of these trigger wheels tell me that the engine is timed. So now I'm going to mark our phaser first. So I'm gonna mark it right here. We're gonna mark this link right there. That way, when we remove the phaser and the camshaft, if the trigger wheel on the camshaft didn't move, once we get everything lined up, all these marks lined up, we should be good to go. Okay, now I'm gonna use my white nail polish for the intake camshaft, and then this, what color is this, red? Pink. This pink nail polish is going to be used for the exhaust camshaft. Exhaust trigger wheel. over here?
Yeah, just tap it where the lock. It goes on the sprocket itself.
Oh, if it goes in the sprocket, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do that.
Right here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mark it.
Right there. So, good. We got our stuff marked. So now I'm going to mark the camshaft to the cylinder head, okay? Because right here we just marked the chain and the phasers. But once we remove these, our camshafts can move. If they move, we're not going to know where they were. So I'm going to, I mean, I guess we can still know because the phaser is actually pinned. There's a pin between the phaser and the camshaft. But we're going to put another mark over here. I hope Kyler can see our mark. Right there, perfect. It's a little too big. Hold on, let me make a smaller one. That mark is a little too big. Let me wipe it down. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So now we're gonna mark the camshaft on this side. Okay, I might be in the way. I might have to come over there, Kyler. So we're gonna mark this guy now. Okay, we're good. All right, so we're holding the camshaft. So now we're gonna use this tool to undo the phaser bolt. No. I think I'm tightening it. Feels like I'm tightening it. Come on. Oh, we got it. We got it. This was really tight. There we go. Okay, so now we got it off. That's good. So now I just need to remove the tensioner. And then we should be good. Now we're gonna undo the bolts for the tensioner. Let me do something. I'm gonna put this over here. That way if I ever drop it, I don't think I will, but you never know. Better safe than sorry. Here comes the first tensioner bolt. We're gonna remove the second one. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and remove the tensioner. Let me take the bolt out first. Here comes the tensioner. Okay, tensioner goes right there on this guide over here. So I'm gonna get the tensioner out of the way. Now we're gonna remove this bolt completely. I thought this bolt was left-handed thread, but it's just a regular thread. Here it is. There's a little filter on the end of it. Okay, this bolt is gonna get replaced. So now we're gonna slide this forward. This is how it's gonna come out. Just like that. Perfect. So here is our bad phaser. Okay. There's a phaser. Now actually our cam just moved. You see our mark here, Kyler? You see how the mark moved? Okay. So that's the bad phaser. I'm gonna get it out of the way. So now there is usually a mark over here on the cam shaft because I want to make sure that the trigger wheel didn't move. Usually they have a mark there. Let me see if I can find it. There's usually a line. Oh, it moved. It moved. There's that mark right there. Let me get a light. We're gonna have to change the camshaft. I believe it moved. Do you see it, Kyler? So it's this little line over here. Look. Maybe I can, hold on. Let me see if I can turn. Oops. Our camshaft is, we have a mark here, okay? We don't need to worry about that. So let me turn the camshaft a little bit. Let me put this light over here. Sorry, my hand might be in the way. Let me move it again. Let's see how far it's gonna let me. Okay, so I hope you can see it, guys. So this line, I believe this line is supposed to go right here. Can you see it, Kyler? Do you see it, Robin?
Yes, I do.
This is supposed to go here. Okay, so this trigger wheel is shifted. It's shifted from the camshaft. This camshaft has to be replaced because this line is supposed to get lined up with this. If we just install the new phaser and torque everything and put everything back together, the noise is gonna go away, but our code, the P0016 code, will still come back because our trigger wheel is not gonna be lined up. Okay, look at that over here. All right, so we are done. Okay, so what do you think? You guys convinced?
I'm convinced.
You're convinced, Kyler? This is what I wanted us to make sure of before we took everything apart.
Yes.
And this is, actually I have a friend who got burnt by this a while ago. He was doing the same thing and then he didn't pay attention to that mark. He put everything back together. And luckily he called me, he told me, so I learned from somebody else's mistake.
That's good.
Yeah, now that now that we're doing it, I was like, man. And I read service info, I did my homework before we took it apart, and I made sure I wanted to double check that. So I gotta call the customer and tell the customer that he's gonna spend more money. I'll show this to him. He has to spend more money. We have to get that cam. And I mean, to be honest, we might even have to remove both cams and check them. Yeah, because at this point, if we're this far, we might as well just check both of them and make sure that even the other one is good. Although we only had a code for the exhaust camshaft, I believe the exhaust, no, we had a code for the intake camshaft. I believe the exhaust one is good, but you know, at this point we should double check and triple check ourselves. Yeah, can you see it, right?
I've seen it.
Okay.
It's like a couple millimeters.
Yeah, it's slightly off.
Slightly.
Mm-hmm.
I see it's right
Yeah.
here.
All right, guys, so we're gonna leave this right over here. We remove the phasers. I mean, you guys saw how this one was jumping, okay? the spring inside, the mechanism is weak, so this is defective. But we gotta change the camshafts too to fix this properly. So we're gonna leave this right over here. You know, there will be a follow-up video or a next video coming up. I'm gonna let you know what the customer is gonna decide. I'm sure it's gonna give us the go-ahead to change the cams, because if we got this far, I mean, we should. I don't think he's gonna back out from this point. So we're gonna do it. I'm gonna price out a brand new camshaft from Mercedes. You have to get OEM. I mean, when you're dealing with internal components, OEM only, okay, especially on a Mercedes, especially on German vehicles. So we're gonna leave this right over here. We're gonna leave this right over here. Be on the lookout for part 2. Kyler, thanks for sticking around. I mean, we're way past 5 o'clock. We stayed late so we can, you know, finish this today and film this. So Kyler, thanks for being here. Robin, thank you for your help. Thanks for everything. See you guys next time. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. If you have already done this in the past, let us know. How did you do it? You know, let us know. I would like to know. Once again, thank you. See you next time.